Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Jason Forrest, #1 global sales trainer, keynote speaker, and founder of Forrest Performance Group, a pioneer in behavioral sales training and recruiting, renowned for redefining how companies unlock the full potential of their teams. Jason, welcome to Founders Future.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take me back to before you started Forrest Performance Group. What were you doing beforehand? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Yeah, so real simple. So number one, my father still to this day owns a jewelry store in Dallas, Texas. And so when I was a kid, I grew up in the family jewelry business, and I would watch my father convince a young couple to buy a diamond and really change their life with that. And then went to retail sales, and then was a stockbroker, new home sales, and then got an opportunity to become a national sales trainer for a big Fortune 500 home building company. And I just knew that I was there to make a difference. My Sunday school teacher growing up was Zig Ziglar, which was a crazy thing to have as a Sunday school teacher. And so he really was my origin, really taught me a lot about what does it mean to sell and what does it mean to inspire people and unleash people. And when I was a kid, I actually went to him and said, "Hey, I want to be in sales. What degree should I get in college?" And he said, "You should get a degree in psychology, because psychology is what understanding what makes people tick, what takes them off, understanding the motivations and the emotions and the feelings that drive the behaviors. And so if we can understand the motives behind that, then we can obviously lead, protect, and serve them," using my own kind of words now, lead, protect, and serve them to get them to where they want to go. And so anyway, so that's basically my origin kind of story and the journey behind that. Majority of our business is in the home building space. However, we've branched out quite a bit in the last 5 or 6 years, and we do a lot of business in the high-end consumer space. So like I've personally written the script for Heston's mattresses. They sell $25,000 to $700,000 mattresses. We also did a lot of work, and we're still doing a lot of work for the United States Marines and the United States Army for the recruiters, where we teach the recruiters how to persuade the American citizen to join the cause and to join the Army, and to deal with the objections of, "I don't want to die," or "I don't want to serve this government." And so we write scripts for them and write training programs for them that unleash them. And our biggest success with them is we doubled their conversion rate in 90 days and compared to what the Army actually can do. So yeah, so we're about 5 times more effective than what the Army can actually do in their own current training.
Wow, that's powerful. Having Zig Ziglar as a Sunday school teacher, you were trained by, so how old were you when he was like your Sunday school teacher?
I was young, so I was a strong-willed child. I didn't really want to go to church, and so my parents made me go to church, and so I got to go to Zig's class. Why they went to big service, and his class, of course, had about 300 people in there. But I was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, all the way up to going to college. So
That is huge because he's one of the best. Like people, he's a legend in the space. Having him at 8, 9 years old, that's awesome, man. Let's dive into a little bit more of FPG to give the listeners more context. So you mentioned scripting, you mentioned training programs, high-end consumer space, home building, also with the US Army as well. Would you say that you have an ideal client that you typically work with at FPG, or is that because it sounds like it's broad?
yeah, so I would say our best client we work with is when they're trying to move from a transaction to a transformational sell.
Mm,
That would be our best client. So for example, like obviously in the Army, they're not selling, at least this is what we help them have the shift for. So I went in there and I shifted them on 3 things. I call it the trinity of a sales warrior, and that's the mindset, process, and language. And so like the problem with the Army is they were trying to sell the Army. You can't sell the Army. You have to sell the future of what the Army service is going to bring for them and for others. And so it has to be a transformational sell, not a transaction of, are you going to join the Army or not? And so I would say, so it's really our ideal client is anyone who wants to create a purpose-driven selling
mhm.
environment and not a transactional selling environment. Now, there are certain obviously services or products that are easier for that than others, right? So definitely like high ticket coaching programs, it can definitely be obviously very transformational versus transactional if it's treated that way. And same with Heston's mattresses, it's a $25,000 minimum mattress.
Oh,
Of
wow.
course, they call it a sleep instrument, but that's a transformational experience because you're used to spending $500 to $1,000 at Mattress Giant, and so then you walk into their store in New York or wherever, and you're pretty off. You're thrown off a little bit. You're like, "How much these cost?" And the person, they range from $25,000 to $700,000. The Kardashians have one for 700,000. Hanks has one for 700,000. And of course, the customer says, "What are you effing out of your mind to spend that kind of money for a mattress?" And of course, I wrote the script for him, and the script was, "Yeah, but aren't you at least curious what it feels like to get back your sleep and to lay on a $25,000 mattress? Aren't you at least curious? And if you're curious, I have time to give you the experience that might be worth it to you." And then so I wrote an entire process for them that takes them through this journey where they start to realize how much sleep they're not getting and how it's affecting their health, affecting their psychology, affecting their marriage. And so we basically transform the sleep instrument, the mattress is now a vehicle into this new identity that they're trying to become.
Mhm.
And so that's the key to the whole selling philosophy that I created
Yeah,
that again is currently ranked #1 in the world by global gurus is that program.
that's powerful. And what's the name of that program?
So that's called warrior selling.
Warrior Selling. Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's dive into what your offerings are. If there is a core offering or anything like that, walk me through that.
Sure. Yeah. So our core offering would be the Warrior Selling 90-day program. Our minimum engagement with the client usually is 90 days. We have lots of different challenges that we do. So, like right now, for example, I'm in a 5-day challenge that allows people to experience what we offer. We also have a program called Leadership Sales Coaching, which is also ranked the #1 sales management training program in the world. Good old Jeremy Miners, head of sales, just went through it the other day to learn how to coach and develop his people more.
Nice.
So those are kind of the two offers we have. Leadership Sales Coaching, which is for sales managers. It's also used at 2 universities as a part of their MBA in sales leadership. And then
Mm,
Warrior Selling 90 is our kind of flagship sales training program. And then from there's all different kinds of up-leveled mastery programs that go above that. But
yeah.
it all revolves around three things. So again, my background is in neuro-linguistic programming, which I'm sure obviously you're familiar with. It's the science psychology of how high producers think, speak, and act. So my wife and I are at the same level as like Tony Robbins in the sense of from the original OG people that created and exactly, yeah, that created NLP. So it took us about 2,000 hours to get the certification. And anyway, so when you think of really transforming someone, we're all doing the best we can with the resources we have, and those resources are what we say, do, and think about. So the
Mm,
reason why people aren't succeeding is because they're what they say, do, and think about is not in alignment with their future self, with what they're trying to become, right? So we have to show them, hey, you're saying the right thing here, but you're not thinking the right thing, or you're thinking the right thing, but you're not doing the right thing. And so we have to make sure all three are in alignment
mm.
in order to help them achieve their future self. So that's the game that we play there. And then we do that through our behavioral change system that has about 5 strategies in order to get them to up level what they say, do, and think about.
I love that. I love that. And that's part of the 90-day program, the Warrior Selling, and then the leadership and sales coaching. Is that part of it as well?
Everything that we do
Awesome.
revolves around that trinity, right? So if you think about anything like with your team and anything, it's first you have to figure out like what is the goal, right? What do you want to achieve and why? And then we have to figure out, okay, what are you currently saying, doing, and thinking about that's achieving your current results? And
Mm,
so if you want to double your conversion rate, then we need to obviously change what you're saying, doing, and thinking about that would
yeah.
equal that double conversion rate. And then we have to figure out what are the leashes that are in the way. So the leashes are the stories, self-image, reluctances, and rules that hold you back from actually executing what you've been taught. So like in your founder's future right now, I guarantee you we could just however many episodes you've done, right? I could just randomly pick one, and I'm sure there's 15 nuggets of wisdom in that episode, right? So then I
Mm,
can ask someone who's actually listened to that episode. So of the 15 things that you heard in that Founders Future podcast, tell me what you're actually doing with that. And of course,
mm,
they're going to say, I'm not doing any of it. And I would say, okay, what's stopping you from doing that 100% of the time? And then that person would say, oh, it's because of this, or it's because of that, or it's because of this. Those are all those leashes or stories, self-image, reluctances, rules.
mm.
And then so I have to figure out what those are, remove those, create a new identity alignment, and allow them to actually execute that knowledge that you just gave them in that podcast.
Wow, that is so powerful. So it's less about sales tactics or word tracks or those types of things and more about internal transformation so that you can be in alignment with whatever that goal or that future state is for a company or for an individual or a sales manager, etc. Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The advantage that we have is that we just do all of it at the same time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
where if you think about most of my competitors out there, they either have the process down or they've got the mindset part down or they've got the language part down. So we just believe that you have to have all three kind of pieces of the stool, right? They all have to happen at the same time. And so holistically, you have to nail all of them. Same thing with the process. A lot of my competitors, they'll teach like part of the process. They'll teach like the discovery or the handling objections or the closing process, right? But they don't teach the entire thing. And so what we do is I wrote the entire process, the entire 12-step process out from beginning to end. And which is the only, from what I know, we're the only ones ever done actually that from beginning to end. And I did that because I didn't want any salesperson to ever feel, okay, I got this part, but what happens after that? And so I wanted to make sure there's no loose ends, because anytime a human being has ambiguity, they're in a state of fear or resistance and they're going to stop, right? And so we always want to remove any of that resistance by always telling them, here's the next step in the process and what to say, do, and think about.
Awesome. Let's dive a little bit into the back end of the business. When it comes to client and customer acquisition, what are you doing from a marketing and lead gen front?
Sure. Yeah. So I am a part of the Russell Brunson community. So I have to give him a lot of props for that. So I'm a part of the inner circle world there. So we do all of our top of the funnel stuff. I would say would be challenges. So we do a leadership challenge once a month, and we do a sales challenge once a month. Those are two different challenges we do. We also do two different masterclasses once a month. Those masterclasses are 5 hours a piece. So one is called the the Mindset to Sales Freedom Masterclass, which is all around this frame here we're talking about of what does sales freedom really mean to you? What the primary desire of the human race is freedom. And so how do we understand the freedom that our customers are moving towards and the fear they're moving away from? And then how can we help them achieve that by getting our own freedom? So in the Mindset to Sales Freedom Masterclass, the big premise that I talk about is that there's the two ways to get freedom for yourself. Is number one, ask yourself, did I give this customer the best sales experience of their life? And number two is, did I help them achieve resolution? And so if you can make it more around best sales experience of their life and more around achieving resolution, you're going to have the highest conversion rate on the planet. Like people that live by this will have a 1 in 3 conversion rate all day long, because they're not focused on they're not focused on what can I say to get you to buy something today. Instead, they're focused on, did I give you my very best? And do you have any loose ends? Because if you have loose ends, you're going to ghost me. You're going to say no. You're going to think about it. You're going to do all those kind of things because I'm creating too much resistance and fear. So I would say our top of the funnel is masterclasses, challenges, obviously driving traffic to that from an ad spend perspective. And then just like anyone, I'm a big fan of experiential-based selling, experiential-based marketing. So like, for example, tomorrow I have what is tomorrow? Wednesday. So I have day 3 of a challenge tomorrow. And tomorrow is handling objection day, right? And so we've got 60 something salespeople on this thing, plus managers. And so I told them, I said, hey, be ready, pull out all the stops. Give me your toughest objection you can possibly think of that's holding you back from selling more. This specifically is a home building world. This is like real estate sales, like a home building sales challenge. So give me like the number one reason why people are saying they're not buying a house today in 2025, and don't pull any punches. And I'll answer every single one of them with my 4-step framework, and you're going to get all the answers you need tomorrow. So like that. So it's that demonstration-based marketing I think is so important in today's world, because in today's world, you've heard the concept, right? Those who can't do teach, those who can't teach consult, those who can't consult have a podcast, no offense. Those who can't have a podcast do life coaching on the side in their pajamas and have NLP certifications from Udemy, right? So I don't do that. So we're all about practitioner-based training. And our whole concept is that my trainers should be able to beat your top salesperson any day. And if they can, you should hire us. If they can't, you should not hire us, because you're letting a poser or philosopher teach a practitioner. Doesn't work.
100%. So how can people sign up for those master classes and those challenges?
Perfect. Yeah. So just go to thejasonforrest.com. So thejasonforrest.com with 2 R's. That's my personal kind of domain. Or you can go to fpg.com. F is in Forrest, P is in Performance, G is in Group.com. So either way, and we're always listing our challenges on there, and you can be a part of it. So I also have a new book coming out called Sales Freedom, and it's from pressure to purpose-driven selling. And then my book before that was called Warrior Selling, the 12 Steps to 100% Conversion Rate. Before that was The Mindset of a Sales Warrior. So plenty of books.
Awesome. I love it. And with the challenges and the master classes, 2-part question. What have you found to be the most effective? And is the call to action at the end to book a call with your team, or is it a direct to card thing? How does that operate?
Great questions. So I'm a big fan of, again, that ascension ladder. And in my world, The difference with my world, just for everyone's to hear the difference, is that I don't majority of my customer is not an individual entrepreneur. So I sell big ticket training contracts, right? I sell training contracts that are 10,000 to 120,000 a month, right? I sell big ticket training contracts. So my buyer that's on these challenges usually are not used to paying for something out of their own pocket. They're an employee
I
that's
see.
that has a company that pays for them, right? So because of that, it's a little bit different than the Myron Golden or the Eileens or the Russells and how they do it, because they are obviously selling to entrepreneurs. I'm not doing that, right? So what I do is I do believe in immersion creates conversion. And so I do believe in spending a lot of time with people. So like in this case, so like this week, they're going to spend 5 hours with me, plus there's a VIP upgrade to spend another 5 hours if they want. Then at the end of the week, it's only $97. So in the week, I'm gonna sell them on two options: either immediately ascending to the Warrior Selling 90 for $5,000, or if they're not ready to commit fully, then they're just gonna ascend to the next thing, which is the Sales Freedom Masterclass, which again is in that case it's only, I don't know, $200. I mean, 300 bucks. It's really affordable. But why am I
Yeah.
doing that? Because now they're spending 5 hours with me on the first side, plus another 5 hours for me on the masterclass. And then what I do is I have a bunch of bonus offers for the actual founders and leaders and owners that I do coaching sessions with. Right? We do like different ascension ladders for them. So the whole purpose of that is how many of those people can we get to pay out of their own pocket? But if I can't get that, then yes, the next step after that obviously is to book those meetings with the
Mm.
strategy sessions with the sales manager or with the owner that actually is going to be the one that's going to sign the check for everyone else, right?
Got it. And those two, the 5,000 and then the 200 or 300, those are direct to card, so it's a one to many sale where they just
Hmm.
there's a link. Okay, nice. And
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the strategy sessions, is that you or is there a sales team that runs that for you?
No, we have a few salespeople. We have a sales team that does that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Very robust system. I'm curious, what do you feel is the biggest challenge, if any, to growing this, to scaling this faster?
I think I would be probably automating me, right? Because right now I'm doing a lot of these challenges, master classes myself, but I don't feel confident enough yet that I've dialed in the message and have the conversion rate where I want it to record it. I think Russell records a lot of his, so I'm not ready to do that yet. I would say that's probably it. I would say what else? I would say again, just getting this. It's one thing to obviously get the salespeople on board, which I think is great. That's 90% of the battle because most salespeople hate training. So I have a whole thing that's say no to bad sales training. So I think that's probably part of it. But I think the other part is just obviously ascending and getting the owners to believe that the salespeople are going to do the work. And because a lot of people have been burned by bad sales training. And
Yeah.
so the resistance I have to overcome, my sales team has to overcome and that's why we do the challenge, the masterclass, is are my people really going to watch these? Are they really going to do these weekly Zoom calls? Because we don't do just your typical, our training is all immersive. So it's not a watch the video on your side on your own. It's my training is they're on weekly Zoom sessions and experiential learning. Like they're learning something, they're practicing it, they're getting back on in group sessions with my training, with my instructors who are role playing with them, holding accountable, removing the leashes, removing the insecurity, asking the tough questions. Our whole goal is that your best sales day of your week should be the 24 hours after our Zoom dojo sessions
Mm,
because you're not coming to learn a philosophy on selling. You're coming to bring, hey, I'm struggling with so and what would you say or do in this situation to move them forward and not get ghosted or whatever it is. So my team actually sells through the people, which means
mm.
they get an immediate return on investments. If I can make the salespeople money, they're going to keep coming back.
Yeah, something they can implement right away instead of, hey, here's a way to think. But it's okay, this is the problem you're facing. This is how to solve that problem right now. So tomorrow you can make more commissions.
Yeah.
That's
And honestly, the reason why, unfortunately, a lot of trainers aren't doing practical based dojo sessions, they're doing more philosophical based dojo sessions, is because they don't really know the right answer. Like they're not actually in the trenches
yeah.
knowing how to sell through these scenarios. So they can't give them the right answer.
They don't have the confidence in their own ability.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you've thought about or if you've ever ran some sort of just standard call funnel, or it's maybe a VSL or an application funnel, anything like that, instead of the challenges in the master classes. Because I know that's a little bit easier to automate. The close rate might be a little bit lower, but I'm curious if that's ever something you've done or thought about doing.
I mean, we've definitely done some VSLs. Probably haven't put enough energy into it from what you're referring to. We actually just, funny enough, we just actually switched over to this whole Masterclass challenge thing
Okay.
because prior to this, we were all about Google ads and actually booking meetings directly with the sales team. And what we found is that there was just so much resistance and it was so difficult to have the salespeople overcome the initial, is this stuff really legit? Is it worth it? We're on the expensive side. Because we're very immersive and we're very high touch. And so because of that's why we switched over to let's let them experience, let them
Yeah,
test
yeah, yeah.
drive, right? So we can do that. So that's why I've shifted over to this way. So I'm not sure if VSL, maybe a VSL would do that. I just don't know if it would because again,
Yeah,
you're going to go right to that salesperson who's now going to be stuck again. So
I think if it's just like a 5, 10K thing, just one time, that can be do very well. I think if it's 10K a month to 120K a month, and it's like a monthly recurring thing, then maybe, maybe that's a little bit more difficult. Make it work off of VSL because we spend $500,000 a month on
oh
Meta
wow.
ads, and it's just VSL and call funnels. But what we found, and you have this already with the books that you've come out with, the social proof that you have, is when you couple that and having a front end offer that's 5 to 10K just one time, and then there's upsells afterwards. And then you couple that with the organic content and the social proof, it can do very well. And then because the content is there and the pre-nurture sequences are there, it's less difficult for the sales reps to close those deals, if that makes sense. Yeah, just a thought.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll try anything. The biggest thing that killed us last year was Google just was incredibly expensive, right? So we were going from spending, let's say, $3,000 to $4,000 a sales conversation, and it was just killing it, right? Because it just you take $4,000 sales conversation, even if you have a top closer that's 1 in 3, that's still 9 grand for your ad spend, right? Before you pay for marketing and everything else. So that was too expensive. So we've shut that down. And so now we're spending, now it's more like this. I think this last one this past week was like $120, $125 per person
Okay.
for them to spend 5 hours with me over 5 days. That's incredible. So
That is phenomenal. And then especially if you have the setter reach out to all the people, because not every single person shows up to those things. Like having that be part of it, yeah, it could really explode.
yeah, that is a good next step. Right now we're probably, I think as of right now, we had 85% show up rate, I believe, as of this morning. Yeah.
That is
But again,
huge.
but here's the lesson learned for everyone. That's probably because I'm assuming this one specifically is very niche. So
I
this is the builder sales challenge.
Makes
And it's
sense.
specifically in all of my ad copy was directed towards the suffering that a new home sales person is dealing with right now and how they're not selling houses right now. So it's
Yeah,
so tailored and they are in so much pain that they need this message. And so, they're going to come, right? They're going to come and hear the message. I don't think it would be like that if it was a generic, let's learn how to sell something or that kind of generic sales challenge.
100%. Any final words before we wrap up, or any want to plug anything else where people can find you? Just anything that comes to mind.
The biggest thing is, and we're not right for everyone. I think there's a lot of great sales training out there, and everyone's got a great place. Our big thing is for the salesperson that's wanting to like go to the next level. They're wanting to ascend because they're tired of the transaction. They're tired of, again, I'm not saying I'm not a hustler. Of course, you got to work hard. But the difference is that how can you become like a peaceful warrior, right? How can you actually let go of the importance so much and the grip of what is it going to take to get this person to buy today, and instead focus on what's the true hell this person is currently in, and how do I get them to experience that hell even more, and what's the heaven that only my product or service can provide for them, and how can I get them to visualize that? How can I get them to act as if and experience the future of that? And then once I understand that, then if it's right for them, how can I help them through a journey of creating resolution of deciding, are they going to do something about it? And is it worth doing something about? So it's that true transformation from being a pressure-oriented salesperson to a purpose-driven salesperson. And again, I want to be real clear, everyone. I'm not a soft seller. I'm a very hard closer. But how I'm able to be a hard closer is that I only talk about things with a customer that's based upon the decision they need to make at that moment. Because
Mm,
anytime that you're talking about things that are not relevant to them at the moment, that's when you're creating pressure on
yeah.
them. So if you don't buy now, you're going to miss out on this blank scarcity, this blank incentive. They might not even have
Mhm.
decided they even have a real problem yet. So that's creating pressure, and that pressure creates resistance, and that resistance is when they get in fear mode and they start to eject and go, I got to go. So my number one compliment that I get from customers, and I train everyone else to get this too, is, wow, I just want to spend more time with you, Jason. I've learned so much in this experience. You've solved so many of my problems I didn't even know I had. And when can we talk again? Let's keep going. So that's the idea of it. And it's just, you got to shift the focus of the salesperson to be more around, again, the resolution versus the result.
I love that so much. You're literally speaking my language. I have a pre-call checklist because I still do sales, and I read this every single time. Two of the things that I have here is I'm here to serve and be a positive force in the world. And then the last thing I have is detachment, let go and let God. Cause I love what you're saying, because I think you can be quote unquote a hard closer if your energy is in the right place of true service, of true care for the prospect. And if I've gone through a 30-minute discovery with you, and we know what your future is going to look like if you make these changes and what it's not going to look like if you don't make these changes, then it's my obligation to make sure that you either give me a yes or a no. And a no is completely fine, but you need to be able to make a commitment to yourself and to your family, your business, etc., whatever it looks like. But I want to be respectful of your time. Jason, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anytime. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to thejasonforrest with 2rs.com, thejasonforrest.com. You can sign up for his challenges and his masterclasses. Also go to fpg.com to learn more about what he can offer you. There's also the Sales Freedom book coming out soon, the Warrior Selling book that's already out, and the Mindset of a Sales Warrior book also coming out. So check those out. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or an agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.